All of us want to get our dream house. I mean, it doesn't matter if we get those dream houses in real life or just remain a dream forever. Admit it or not, we love to fantasize and dream of our kind of house. And we've always been motivated to work hard just to achieve our dream house or houses. Dream house for your own satisfaction is always worth it in the end. However, a dream house as luxurious as a precious collection in your drawer is a different story. It always represents the lifestyle of a billionaire where you can purchase lots of dream houses whenever and whatever you want. When you're the richest person in the world, you're probably going to have properties around the country. If not, a world full of your properties to be exact. I'm talking about a mansion so grand that it inspires multiple content creators and architectural aspirants. There are lots of expensive mansions purchased by different billionaires. However, for today's video, we will be looking at different luxurious houses of Jeff Bezos, a multi-billionaire and the founder of Amazon, and let us know where he has been spending his billions over the past few years. Let us start our tour in the Washington, D.C. mansion. This 100-year-old property once upon a time was a textile mill, eventually converted into the home it is today. Bezos purchased the property for $23 million, which as usual included the original building and the one next to it, adding up to 34,000 square feet. This mansion was the largest home ever sold in Washington, D.C. Although it isn't nearly as large or sprawling as some, this mansion didn't exactly come cheap either. Let us look at its interior. It has 25 bathrooms, 11 bedrooms. Well, it's not worth living in it without a wine cellar, a whiskey tasting room, 3 kitchens, and the top of it all is a grand ballroom. Well, it seems like Jeff Bezos has to find his lucky lady. If you think this grand mansion is enough for Bezos, then think twice, because he launched a $12 million renovation project that went from 2016 to 2019. This is no small project, because it was so massive that it required several contractors to line up their vehicles in front of the building, parking illegally. But then again, $16,800 worth of fine doesn't matter. I don't think he minds that his neighbors, on the other hand, weren't very pleased with the illegally parked cars blocking the streets, as well as the loud and unending construction work going on for 3 years. Imagine hearing the loud noise of a hammer and grinder for 3 years. Anyway, speaking of construction, Bezos just dropped $35 million on a textile factory, even though intricate pictures of the inside of the mansion are hard to come by. In January 2020, Bezos threw a lavish party, giving the mansion its social debut. Big-name party-goers like Bill Gates, Mitt Romney, Ivanka Trump, Ben Stiller, and David Rubenstein enjoyed the atmosphere of the mansion. Well, unsurprisingly, guests had nothing but praise to say about the mansion, with one guest describing the decor as theatrical. It's pretty clear that Bezos intends to turn this mansion into the premier party location for the upper class in Washington, and not something silly like a house to live in. Next collection is the New York Penthouse. Although Amazon abandoned its plan to have a headquarters in New York, Jeff Bezos doesn't care. He still purchased a penthouse, billionaires thing. Well, it is true that being a multi-billionaire is owning a property in New York and joining the ranks of wealthy people with deluxe apartments in the sky. That was in the year 2019 when Jeff Bezos purchased his own exclusive luxury property called The Crown, which is the penthouse at 212 Fifth Avenue. Bezos lives in an $80 million, 3-level penthouse apartment with an iconic neo-Gothic skyscraper. The building has 48 residential condos with high ceilings and hardwood floors, and on top of it, it is the only skyscraper to ever grace the New York skyline and the amazing view of Madison Square Park. One of the more impressive things about the Crown is its sheer scale. 10,000 square feet of interior space, paired with the 6,000 square feet of outer space. The Crown has transcended the title of penthouse, from the Empire State Building, to the Flatiron Building, to Madison Square Park, all the way to Freedom Tower. The views available to Bezos from this building are to kill for. But good luck! Getting to Bezos and just to get up to the Crown requires you to use a private elevator. The Crown has brilliantly designed furnished 5 bedrooms and 5 bathrooms. Not to mention the grand room that features a northern, eastern, and southern exposures. If you want to have a leisure reflection and entertainment, this Crown has a massive skylight overhead as well as a host of designed spaces. Not just that, a rooftop terrace is waiting for your guests to be impressed with a 23,000 glass foosball table, a huge library, and of course, another massive ballroom just like any other of Bezos' mansions. The top floor of this multi-layered penthouse is known as Observatory. Aptly named too. It's a single room with glass walls, giving you a panoramic view of the city around you. But it won't be complete without a pool. Surely there's a more fitting word than penthouse. Calling it that feels like a disservice to the Crown. The penthouse was originally going for $73.8 million, but Bezos purchased it for a bargain at $60 million. Well, good thing that Bezos did not spend a lot. I mean, he saved a few millions. However, he also purchased 2 additional floors of the building to expand the penthouse, turning it into the sprawling mansion in the sky it is today. Why, you ask? Because that's what Jeff Bezos does. Let us go to Bezos' Beverly Estate in California. Back in 1930, it was built for Warner Brothers co-founder Jack Warner. It was a party hotspot at that time and hosting celebrities and Hollywood heavyweights, which made it a massive palatial estate with fancy. This mansion is already 100 years old, but it was once known as a party palace. In fact, the mansion has hosted wealthy and famous people like Jimmy Stewart, Audrey Hepburn, Howard Hughes, and even the famous scientist Albert Einstein. Well, there's no surprise having these guests since the Beverly Estate is a sprawling 9-acre pound with a breathtaking garden and a 9-hole golf course on the property. Who wouldn't want to party here? Did you know that this property was the most expensive California property sale ever? And we all know how notoriously cheap California property is. Yet Jeff Bezos purchased this property in February 2020 for an insane $165 million. Out of curiosity, let me show you what this estate has to offer. If I were to guess, the best part of this estate that stands the most well is obviously the massive 13,000 square foot mansion that sits in the middle of it. Well, if you think it was all about size, well, you're wrong. The huge mansion sitting inside this estate isn't just huge. It's also elegant and built in a Georgian architectural style. Inside of it is the elegant 8 bedrooms, 9 bathrooms, a bar fit for a multi-billionaire style, a library, a huge dining room large enough to fit 14 people, a screening room, and a sunroom for you not to leave the house anymore. Yet we all know that being outdoors is still necessary. That's why Bezos has made sure the outside looks just as good as the inside. The estate is covered in manicured gardens and terraces and surrounded by incredibly tall hedges to ensure the privacy for Bezos. It will not be as good looking as it is without his team of talented gardeners that ensure that every inch of the property is covered in lush greenery every inch. Except the massive pool and hot tub he has on the property. Well, if you have guests, they have 2 guest houses and a tennis court for recreation that all fits in this huge estate. Since there's a lot of space, Bezos' compound has 2 ponds, a tree nursery, and 3 greenhouses. It wouldn't be too much of a stretch to say this estate pretty much has its own ecosystem. But it literally has. But it still does not satisfy Bezos. He purchased the property of his neighbor for over $10 million in 2020. Even though it's not nearly as big or as expensive as the Beverly Estate, it's nothing to scoff at the property features, which are 3 bedrooms, 5 bathrooms, a courtyard, a den, and 6 fireplaces to warm you up since there's a lot to come. Lastly is Bezos' Corn Ranch. Jeff Bezos does not just buy any ranch he wants. He buys a corn ranch that is a 165,000-acre ranch in the West Texas of Van Horn, which is way bigger than any of his property combined that we have shown you already. We all know that buying this ranch predictably put Bezos back a few $1,000,000. But don't worry, because all of this is promptly made back in a few months. But remember, Porton Ranch isn't big for nothing either. It serves as a launch site for Blue Origin, Bezos' rocket space flight company, which has its own base in Washington and about 50 employees on the ranch. This ranch is different from his other property. Bezos stated that he plans to use the ranch as a getaway for himself and his children during the summer, effectively making it both summer camp and space camp rolled into one. These are just some of Jeff Bezos' many properties. The properties on this list alone have a combined value of over $300 million. But it was just a few of them. It's no surprise that we couldn't possibly hope to properly cover all of Bezos' properties on this video. Despite all that, his net worth still sits at a comfortable $201 billion and is steadily growing. It's amazing to think how Amazon started from such humble beginnings in the garage of a house worth $281,000. And even though the property is now worth $1.49 million, Bezos could purchase it using 0.001% of his net worth. No wonder why he can afford much more of these listed properties. I know not all of us are like Jeff Bezos, but still, we have our own version of dream house and mansion, or even a ranch. If you were given a chance to add a collection of properties of this multi-billionaire, what properties would you purchase? Are you up to way bigger? Or just simple but elegant in design mansions? Which of these mansions would you think you want to spend the rest of your lives? Let us know in the comment below, and if you enjoyed this video and want to see more Lux Life, hit that subscribe button. Cheers!